I'm going to call the meeting to order. Bird, if you would, we use my time.
Father God, we just thank you and we give your name praise, honor, and glory. We thank you, God, for having you brought us together once again. Father, we pray for the first responders, the president, for wisdom, God, in the name of Jesus. We thank you, God, for each and every heart that's here, God, that we would do things for the better of the county and the community. And we ask that you cover us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. We don't got a flag. We use my tie. That'll work. Here you go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Henry County Board of County Commission meeting being held on Tuesday, May 26, 2020 at 5 p.m. at the LaBelle Civic Center in LaBelle, Florida. In attendance in person are Chairman Mitchell Wills, Vice Chair Emma Byrd, Commissioner Darrell Harris, Commissioner Michael Swindle, Commissioner Carson Turner, County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Attorney Mark Lapp, and Interim Clerk Kimberly Barano.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lapp, are we still waiting on the call-ins, or are we just going to do that during our public meeting hearings as normal, or what?
Well, the way we've, is this on? So the way that the board has proceeded for now up through the next meeting, the June 16th meeting, is that to allow people not to come, we've advertised the
So we're going to
telephone
just
number.
continue the same
And
routine.
so we're going to, before we vote, invite public comment. But just to clarify, maybe the announcement about getting on the phone, do that just once, and then it's just a matter of our IT guy unmuting them when it's time to speak, so they don't have to dial in each time. They only dial in once and listen the whole time.
Okay, very good. If you would like to join the meeting by phone, if you would dial 877-853-5257. At that point, they'll ask for an access code, 955-2625-7584#. If you would like to speak, at that point, I believe, Carl, you'll be able to see the icon, or will they just need to unmute and speak? Or okay, at that point, you'll need to unmute your phone and speak, and after that, please remute your phone. Again, that's 877.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask Ms. Embledge, after we get this approved tonight, I'd like to ask for another update with regards to our local housing assistance plan versus CDBG, or not versus, but just to have an overall scope update of what we're doing. Y'all sent me an email that had a lot of attachments and things for me to review, but I'd just love to look at that whole program as a whole. So if you could just set time certain, maybe, let me see, we're sitting here at the end of May, thinking maybe a July or an August date to look at that and see what we're actually doing with those CDBG funds, and then how that local SHIP assistance program all plays out.
So we'll set up a meeting with you and Sabrina and Jennifer Davis.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any public comment on this? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under consent, we are pulling G1 for discussion. I would like a motion for the remainder.
Move for the consent agenda, pull G1.
I second it.
Motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion on the board?
I
Wait,
asked,
go ahead.
I asked that they pull G1 just to make it in the minutes that the owner of 1225 Harlem Academy is meeting with Ms. Margaret because she have a couple of complaints, but we just wanted to make sure it was written in the minutes that they are requiring a meeting, and Ms. Margaret's already in the plan of working on setting that meeting up with the owner of that home on 1225 Harlem Academy Avenue.
Okay, do we need to add that to the
You can
motion?
Add it in or vote on it separate, but you just add it in.
We can add it
I
in?
move to add it into the motion.
Second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any further discussion on this, Commissioner Swindle?
Not on G1. Are you handling that separately?
No, sir, we're all together now.
All together now? Yeah, quick question, just two quick questions, actually, just for clarification again, on F2 for the lighting. They're only asking for approval for that. They're using their own funds from the rec board, right? We're not funding it.
No, sir, that's
Right,
recreation.
okay,
Maybe if the rec
that's what I
board
thought.
stayed in
And it's just a monthly cost for those. It's not a big cost, right? $8-10 a month or something, so
Yeah.
they're good, as long as they've got the funding either way.
I think it's more than that. I mean,
Is it?
it's a rental of the pole and the
Oh, the whole, yeah.
fixture and the bulb. They're renting every piece of the equipment, and then they're paying electricity on the equipment.
Okay,
It's
So, not on the equipment, but on the usage.
It's a security lighting.
right, security light, but nonetheless, I knew there was a monthly fee for them, and I suspect that the board has
Yeah,
vetted it, they can afford it, they've got it, it's not a problem there.
Yes, sir, it's a couple
Okay.
$100 a month for all of it.
Yeah. How much a month for all
A
of it?
couple hundred for all of it.
Oh, for all
And we
three?
will not be doing any maintenance on those. Every bit of the maintenance, anything required, FPL will be doing.
Okay, got it. Okay, the other quick thing was on, for emergency management, and I know Mr. Lemkel's not here, but maybe Jennifer or staff can help. And really, it's not a question as much as I know that, and this may not even be the correct place for this, because most of this looks like it was E911 related, and equipment and upgrades to the facility that house the equipment and stuff like that. But as we move forward, I know that we have a horrible connectivity issue with law enforcement, fire, and then City of Clewiston law enforcement, to the point to where when they report to red alert, there's a shooter, the deputies are having to get on their cell phones. You know, City of Clewiston versus Henry County, they're not able to communicate through their radio system, and it's been ongoing. And I know we've tried, we've talked, we've yada, yada, yada. And I know this may not be exactly where this pot of money is going to help with that, but please be cognizant, remember that, and if there's a way that we can continue to do that, be it merge the consoles or whatever it was that we dealt with in the past.
So I can add a couple comments. So we can't use E911 funds for the radios specifically, we've asked, but we are applying for a CDBG MIT, which is a mitigation grant for communication countywide that would include the city of Clewiston, the fire stations, EMS, everyone included, and it should solve our problem countywide if we are
Awesome.
awarded that grant.
When will we know?
That comes open, I think, July 1. So
Okay.
there's a couple different phases, how they're phasing them out, and that's the next cycle.
Got it. Okay, thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the board?
Just we had a significant upgrade, did we not, a few years ago? Or it wasn't us, but we did some version of an upgrade so that we were more uniformed in those communiques. Is
For
that
911.
just 911?
SAPs.
Okay, all right.
Any public comment at this time? Okay, we had a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's going to bring us to the awards and appearances. Have to see if I can see it this month. Didn't bring my glasses, Tracy. You done good. Under awards and appearances, May is National Trauma Awareness Month. Henry County Commission, Henry County, Florida proclamation. Whereas May is National Trauma Awareness Month, established by Congress and signed by the President Ronald Reagan in 1988, to raise attention to the devastating impact traumatic injury has based on individuals, families, and communities. And whereas trauma is the leading cause of death for all Floridians between the ages of 5 and 46, with someone in Florida being traumatically injured every 12 minutes, enough injuries to fill the Hertz Arena 6 times each year. Whereas motor vehicle crashes and falls resulting in blunt force trauma make up more than 75% of all trauma cases treated in the trauma centers district each year. Whereas in 2019, more than 3,000 Southwest Floridian residents and visitors were cared for in the Lee County Trauma Center, district and national studies show that trauma mortality rate reduced by 15 to 20% when severely injured patient is treated for injuries in a trauma. Where over 1.2 million people reside in Lee County, Trauma Centers District, comprised of Charlotte, Collier, Glades, Hendry, and Lee County, serviced by the only trauma center on the Florida Gulf Coast between Sarasota and Miami. And whereas for the last 26 years, the Lee County Trauma Service District has provided optimal care for over 45,000 injured patients in the 5-county region. And whereas today we recognize the Lee County Trauma Service District commitment to providing sustainable access to quality trauma care to improve the local quality of life and protect the public welfare through this acute care services and injury prevention education for all residents, visitors to 5-county regions. And whereas we recognize all the dedicated first responders and medical professionals who serve the injured patients in our community. Now therefore, be it resolved that this day, the Board of Hendry County Commissioners, Florida designates the month of May 2020 as Trauma Awareness Month to encourage all residents and visitors to be mindful, think safety first, and encourage participation in injury prevention, education to improve the health and safety of our community. Again, thank you so much for all you do. Is there anyone here that represents the Lee County tonight? If any of you had any dealings with the trauma center over there, which is the old Lee Memorial Hospital, they're pretty amazing. The staff in there is pretty good. So, again, that's.
Do we need to move that in?
Sir?
I move the proclamation.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Swindle, second by Commissioner Turner. Any further discussion on the board? Is there any public comment at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. We'll bring us to public hearings. Ms. Embledge.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. I feel really short standing up here. This agenda item is a petition for a special exception to allow a horticulture recycling facility off of Colding Road, which is in the southwest corner of Hendry County. It's on a parcel that had previously conducted agricultural recycling, and the applicants are wanting to go forward with it. The previous activity was not properly permitted, so the folks that are taking this over came in and they've processed the special exception. They will be using a burn box, which minimizes the impacts, the external impacts. You don't have grinding, and you don't have the piles of horticulture like you do in other types of facilities. They will be turning it into soil and selling it wholesale off-site. So
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if anybody wants to have specific questions answered from Ms. Embledge, I'm all about you all asking those. I reviewed the information. I don't have any specific questions. I'd make a motion, unless it's offensive to any of you all, to hold back. I'd make a motion to approve option 1, the special exception request, subject to the conditions listed.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris.
Mitch, is that okay with you and Felda?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did he ask?
Is it okay with
That district,
Felda?
that's my district.
Oh.
So,
Ms. Margaret, how many jobs is it speaking of that it might bring in the county?
They didn't provide that information, but it's not a big number.
Not a big number.
No, they're very few.
yeah, the biggest question Felda would have would be the impact it'd have on Church Road. And being as far down as it is, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue. Other than, I mean, the Lee County trucks are the biggest impact there right now going back and forth, so.
And that's, I mean, Commissioner, that's the biggest concern that we hear consistently coming out of Felda is what's the impact going to be on the existing infrastructure every time, right?
Right.
And so you all have vetted that. Everybody feels good in that community. We're ready to move forward, right?
Right. Well, we didn't go to the community this time because it's not officially in Felda.
Uh-huh.
We do we do take certain projects that are close by, but this is far enough away.
Yes, ma'am.
That we didn't feel it was required, and we're comfortable with the minimal amount of truck traffic that it's going to create.
Yep.
Will a lot of that be 82?
The majority of it would be Church Road to 82, but I can't say that it's not going to
Right.
go north and then east.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the biggest impact area. The northeast section of that road is where the
Right.
homes are, and that road gets beat, a lot of trucks right now, so.
Right, and eventually with the potential for new development to occur in that area, Church Road will have to be improved to address any safety issues that may come about.
Yeah. Okay.
Quick question, just in clarification. I'm sorry if I missed this, Ms. Emledge. You may have said it and I missed it, but in the write-up, it says that the LPA had not met previously. Did you?
Yes, I emailed the results of the LPA meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
To everyone, and that's okay. I won't take it personal, but
I don't mean to complain.
the LPA voted 6-0 to approve and recommend that you all
Okay, good.
approve it.
Okay, perfect.
Now, again, Commissioner Turner, you're absolutely correct. That is the biggest driving force in anything we do in those areas is the physical impact it's going to make on the homeowners. And this is just so far away from the homeowners, the biggest impact would be the traffic. And if traffic is to be an issue, we're going to deal with that anyway. So we're already having to deal with Lee County's trash that's driving through there 80 miles an hour. So we can deal with that when we get there too. So, is there any public comment on this? This is a hearing of the public. Any public comment on this issue? Further discussion on the board? We had a motion by Commissioner Turner, just to reiterate, second by Commissioner Swindle. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Yes.
We're ready.
Thank you, Commissioners. This next agenda item is a petition for a large-scale comp plan map amendment. The property is located on the east side of Flaghole Road, and it's immediately adjacent to the Everglades Airport.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to approve option 1, transmit petition CPA 20-0004 with the expedited state review amendment process.
Oh,
Excuse me.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. Is
No,
there something wrong with
No,
that?
it's the next one, I'm sorry.
Is this not correct?
No, that is correct.
Okay, all right. In lay terms, what I'm saying is that, correct me if I'm wrong, we want to take a piece of property that the Hilliard family owns just south of Everglades Airport. We want to redesignate it or give the ability for it to be rezoned from ag, A1, A2, to mixed use.
It's a future land use.
Future
map
land
amendment,
use.
Not zoning. Zoning would come
Okay,
later.
future land use amendment. Yes, ma'am. All right. So that's my motion, Mr. Chair. And then I'm sure, I don't know, is this being viewed right now? Can anybody see this on the World Wide Web or anything like that?
Yes, it's being streamed.
Yeah, great. So I don't know if you want to just zoom through that so that can be seen, but this is pretty exciting, so thank you.
Yes. We did send the mailed notices, and the signage was posted, like all of our petitions, and we did not receive any phone calls regarding this request.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Turner. We had a second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any further discussion on the board? This is also a public meeting as well, so is anyone in the public would like to address this at this time? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, so Commissioners, this next agenda item is also a transmittal hearing. This is a county-initiated amendment to amend the Southwest Henry Sector Plan to allow up to, or allow 20 single-family residences in the areas that are depicted on the map, that an exhibit that is showing up here in your packets that's hatched, that would be allowed to have a single-family residence When we were going through this process with the state, they did not want to allow individual single-family residences because then they were concerned about urban sprawl, and that concern has lightened somewhat. But because this sector plan is a 50-year sector plan, we have not had any development to date, we felt that it was appropriate to allow folks that have certain property ownership to have a single-family residence. They're also allowed, without this amendment, they're allowed to have farm worker housing. They're allowed to have a farm manager housing as well. So those uses were already incorporated into this sector plan. And again, we have not had any requests for single-family residences in this area, but we wanted to make sure that because of the length of the planning horizon, that there was that ability to do that. So again, this is a transmittal hearing, and I need to correct the recommendation on this. It's actually a state-coordinated review amendment process, not expedited review. This is where I jumped the gun at the
Yes,
last
ma'am.
one.
I
you have any-
move to transmit
Oh.
I will second that motion.
CPA 20-0003.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Swindle. This is also a hearing of the public. Does anyone in the public would like to address this at this time?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
20, what is the 20-unit count cap? Allow for up to 20 single-family residences without a DSAP? Is that what?
That's correct,
That's
sir.
synonymous, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Any further discussion on the board? Go ahead, Ms. Emlich.
No, what I was going to mention, or what I'm going to mention is that the areas that are shown in the dark gray and the white, the dark gray are the natural resource districts in the sector plan that don't allow the single family. So that's a no-go area. The areas that are in white, those are properties that are either owned by CCLP, King Ranch. They have stated that they're not interested in having that ability. And the others, the other properties have existing plan developments or a detailed specific area plan on them, so they would not be pursuing that type of development. So I just wanted to clarify that further for you.
Okay.
That's it?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Going back to D,
Make a motion to approve the public hearing, approve the adopted ordinance or attached ordinance as it relates to ATIO and revoking the economic development ad valorem tax exempt ordinance.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any further discussion on the board about this?
Just, Mr. Chair, I would assume they're not going to pay. We're telling them they're going to repay, but I don't know if they file for Chapter 11 or whatever. I don't know what their intentions are, but, I mean, we're just going to have a process to try to get it back, right?
Well, the first step would be a letter to them advising them that this is revoked, and it includes repayment.
Yes.
And tell them you need to repay, and then we'll see how they respond. And then if they don't, it's the kind of thing that if we did want to pursue it further, like through a lawsuit, I'd have to come back in front of you to ask for that, and you can decide if you think it's worthwhile or not. Yes, sir.
How long will that take?
What, a lawsuit?
How long will it take?
A lawsuit?
To go through this process?
If we did a lawsuit?
No, if you, okay.
From the onset to the lawsuit.
And if they
Oh.
don't respond to your question,
Well, okay, whatever you think is a reasonable, I'd say, let's give them 30 days to
Okay.
pay. I'd send them a letter, say, pay up within 30 days, and then if they don't, I could report that to you as just information, and then at a future meeting, you could tell me, we want to go after it, or we don't, or just let it sit. I mean, it's a debt, that they do owe, but, you do have to file a suit to collect on it if you ever want to really recover it if they don't pay it voluntarily.
Mr. Chair, I also think we need to take into consideration, first off, I'm not trying to defend ATIO in any way, shape, or form, But this was us trying to not incentivize, but help incentivize, I guess it is an incentive, to get a company off the ground. We were sold a dream. We kind of believed into that. And we gave them exemptions for X number of years based on performance. They didn't perform. I don't know, has anyone with staff had any contact with ATIO in the last 60 days? Like, have they responded to you all?
But you did, like, maybe 3 months ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a few meetings with them. It's been longer than 60 days, though.
Oh.
And then Tammy reached out to them as well, let them know that this was before we brought it to you the first time to get
Okay.
approval to get to here.
Yep.
Lisa, we've had some.
Are they conducting
And I had a
business?
little bit too.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit. They had an attorney 3 years ago, and I mean,
Is that who CC'd in here?
yeah, this, Mr.
Leslie
Rosenflag.
Rosnowitz?
Yeah, so I contacted him a couple weeks ago to say, are you still their attorney? He said, well, I've asked him, no, I asked him if he, I'm sorry, about a month ago, I sent him an email saying, are you still their attorney? He didn't reply to me. And then a couple weeks ago, I contacted him and say, okay, what's the answer? Are you their attorney? And he said, well, I asked them, and they haven't gotten back to me yet. He said, so for now, consider me to be their attorney. So I included him instead of them, which is I have to when an attorney says he's engaged. And then nobody ever responded. I did hear from Ms. Pittman that one of their staff, ATIO staff, contacted her office, Ms. Pittman's office, to talk about the one form that they were supposed to file, the annual exemption form that they didn't file. There was some communication about that they wanted the right form, or they talked about the form. I can't remember exactly what the issue was, but there was some attempt on that one issue, but nothing, I don't think a form was ever filed, and she didn't tell me if it was. And then there's a lot of other defaults, like the jobs and the other reports.
Yeah.
We did have code go out, was it Friday?
The building official went out
Oh,
on
the
Friday.
building official, okay, just to see, so in case you all had questions today, to see if there was any activity, and she can report on that.
So Lynn Jordan, our building official, went out for a site visit and saw that the place basically looks abandoned, it was locked up, nobody was there to speak to
On Friday of last week?
this past Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, once again, I don't know what their status is. I know that they were, as I understood it, they were going to get aluminum pieces and parts, salvage those, smelt them down, pour them into molds, and produce certain products throughout that were going to be sent out throughout the nation.
Sounds like the plastic company out here on 80.
Yep. The thing is that ATIO actually spent millions of dollars at that facility.
They did?
Yeah, they did. They really did. I mean, they spent millions, and then they've not produced like they said they were going to. So I don't know what their status is. So, but I'm all about us revoking the exemption process, and then I would just caution us as we move forward, not to be spurned to a point that we don't want to do it again, but let's bear this in mind as we do move forward. So.
Further discussion on the board? Any public comment at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, correspondence under FYI. Everybody has your reports from Mr. T.K. Parker.
Yes.
Don't bring us down to staff report.
I do have a couple, it's not on the agenda, but a couple items that we need to talk about. The first item before you, I copied and put before you was
Jennifer,
approval of the JAG
hold on one
grant.
second, Jennifer.
Okay.
Carl, they're having a hard time hearing out front, hearing Jennifer's voice. Can you adjust her mic, or can we get a little closer, please?
All right, so there's a JAG grant, Edward Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, I need your approval on.
Can y'all hear now? Just slide it over a little more, please. They're saying they can't hear you out front. Now, if that's the case, they probably can't hear you on the feed either.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear it now? Emily, you hear that? No?
No. Hello? Hello?
There.
Okay,
Get it.
there we go. All right, the JAG Edward Memorial Assistance Grant, approval for the 51% letter. If I can get a motion to apply for that grant. We get it every year, and there's a process that we have to go through, and it came in after the agenda books were.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Swindle, and a second by Commissioner Turner.
No match?
No,
Okay.
no match.
Okay, is there any further board discussion on this? Any public comment at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I do have another item, and then after this item, Dr. Pepe, if he's still on the line, if you wanted to get an update from him, he's available to give you a brief update if you so choose.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize if we have him waiting on us. If somebody would let me know in the beginning, we'll make sure we don't do that to him. We'll get him as soon as he comes online. If we can, we'll stop what we're doing just to allow him to, so he's not stuck waiting on us.
Okay.
So thank you.
The next item is not on the agenda, but it's regarding the YMCA summer camp. And so I wanted us to have a discussion and let you all know where we are on that. For the last two agendas, we've had that item ready to go, but without knowing what the CDC guidance and what the governor was going to do with that. That just came out, I believe it was Thursday or Friday of last week. And so we've been in correspondence with the school board. And internally, we really wanted to follow the school board's lead because we want to keep consistency throughout the county. We've also been in discussion with the city of Clewiston, and they really want to follow our lead. And so the school board today, Shane and Tommy reached out to Mr. Paletti, and at this time, they have not made a decision to open summer camp. And so what we were, but we have negotiated a weekly rate if in the event that let's just say the school board chose to open summer camp and you all wish to open summer camp, we have negotiated and established that rate if you so chose to move forward. So I was really wanting to get your feeling on the issue of how you feel about that, and if you were to be inclined to have summer camp, if the school board, for example, chose to do it later, we wanted to get that approval in case it happens in between meetings.
Is the cost same as last year?
I believe it's, from a prorated perspective, is down, is less.
I make a motion to approve the ability for staff to move forward with summer camp to be provided to the youth of Hendry County.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris.
Can I get clarification? Is that,
I think that I'm going to leave it up to you all.
okay.
If you're wanting to move forward without the school board doing it, I don't know how you're going to manage those logistics, if that's the question that you're asking. And in no way, shape, or form is that to be contentious to the school board. It's just of us trying to provide us a resource to the communities. I would hope that the school board does do that, but I also understand, let me rephrase that. I would hope the school board would be able to do it, but I don't know if the school board is preparing for what is going to be a fiscal nightmare, and that's part of the reason why they're being so cautious, or if we're also being cautious because of the liability issues that are potentially out there with regards to us opening up our doors and then potential having a peak or another outbreak that could occur. So I don't know how that all plays out. So, I just want to give you all the green light to be able to move forward from a staff perspective. And then if you want to bring something back for us to be able to mull over, by all means. So,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I just think that we need to be very cautious about making a decision, even if we go ahead on and agree on to open it, but not to open it if we are not comfortable in the future. And if we do that, we dialogue, making sure they're in small groups, make sure their temps are being checked, just that we cover everything if we decide to open up, not to put anyone in harm's way, because kids are going to be kids, because even now on my street, they're like 20 in a bunch, and I don't care what you do to break them up and stop them and educate them, they're still kids. But I know they need that room to maneuver, and I think we're the only ones that could give it to them right now, but just be very cautious of how we do it.
They have reached out to most of the churches in the area. They're trying to find a facility because right now they do not have facilities for summer camp.
who's they? The school board?
YMCA, not the school
YMCA.
board.
Gotcha.
They're reaching out. I was reached out Friday of last week about the church. Our facility isn't big enough right now for it. But they are reaching out, looking for facilities, because right now the school boards have not told them, yes, you can. And YMCA, they're looking at moving forward. The governor said, open all this back up, get the kids, everything back going again. So they are preparing to move forward. But right now, the biggest question is facilities. And that's what they're having problem finding, is a facility for the camp, so.
So to be clear, but they weren't housed at the schools during the summers, though.
Some of them are, some of the camps are,
So in LaBelle. not
Yeah,
at-
Yes.
Coun-
that's right.
Country Oaks and up to Grove.
right.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Country Oaks and up to Grove.
Yeah, okay.
Do they use the gym or the cafetoriums or what?
In up to Grove, they use a gym,
Gotcha.
and they use cafeteria, and then they got outside,
Yep.
a big,
They use the cafeteria area for lunches, and then the gym and outdoor areas for the
I
recreation.
mean, it's a new world that we're living in. And so I don't know if the rodeo grounds could serve as a facility with the covered space. I don't know. I know outdoor seating was, the first thing, but in Florida, it's 1,000 degrees outside in the summertime, so I don't know how that all plays into effect. But, I'm not a summer camp specialist. It's not what I do. But, you're in Florida, you're going to sweat. I don't know how this is going to play out. And then I don't know how moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles are actually going to put their babies into the programs, I've talked with my office a little bit about if school was open back up today, what would y'all be doing? And, and then, talking to college coaches throughout the nation, talking to a handful of them, there's what Michigan's going to do versus what Alabama's going to do versus what Florida's going to do are quite different right now. But listening to parents and whether they're going to send their actual children off, that's another question into itself, so.
And, Mr. Chair, Jennifer, even if we decide not to open up, I believe we spoke of this earlier, to make sure that they're able to have a feeding program, so make sure that's in place, just have a B plan.
Right, so we're going to work with the school, and it's something that, the schools always do it through the summer program, usually the feeding. So depending on what happens, whether they open, whether we open, but let's just say we don't, then we would work with them to continue some kind of feeding program throughout the summer. And EM, through the whole COVID issue, has been working with the school board and talking to them about doing that anyway. So we'll continue and keep you updated on that subject.
Well, again, I agree with everything, pretty much everyone said, but we do need to make sure that we have it in place, so they're not waiting on us. So, if, the YMCA is comfortable, they find a facility. If we pass this tonight, at that point, they're not waiting on us to meet again. So I agree with that. So we did have a motion by Commissioner Turner. Do we have a second on that?
second.
And
We do
just
have a second by Commissioner Byrd. Mr. Lapp?
and Kim has something too.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris seconded.
Did he second it? Thank you.
And we usually have an agreement, a written agreement, an 8 or 10-page agreement and we'll follow that same format, just plug in the details, so I just want to be clear that will be prepared by staff and then signed by the chairman.
Very good. Is there any further discussion on the board?
I would, as you sign that agreement, as we move forward with that, I would love to see the fiscal concept, what the bottom line is looking like, what we're actually going to arrive at, how those are going to play out, and then we'll leave it at that.
We can send that to you. We did work out some of those details just this afternoon, and we have it in email.
Great.
The summer camp really affects a lot of families that both work. They have no place for their children, so. And we're coming up on storm season as well, so it's going to be some trying times in the next little while. So, is there any public comment at this time? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Staff reports.
Dr. Pepe?
Is Dr. Pepe on the line? Dr. Pepe, are you
Hey,
there?
good evening, Commissioners. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. I apologize for having you wait on us. We'll try to work that out in the future.
Oh, no worries at all. I enjoyed the conversation, and sorry I'm not there in person. So we've had a very busy weekend, as you all saw with the numbers. We're at 337 cases. The breakdown by locations is 274 on the Clewiston side, 52 on the LaBelle side, and 11 in unincorporated Hendry County. The driver of these cases came from the outbreaks that I mentioned to you, as well as a fairly significant outbreak at an employer in a and in agricultural settings. So we're looking at 89 cases just in that one location. So when you combine all of those locations for those 5 outbreaks, you're 59, almost 60% of the cases for Hendry County come from 5 outbreaks associated. I am pleased to report and will continue to do so. And had a good conversation with several of you one-on-one, and I'm finalizing the plans for a mobile testing unit to come into Hendry County. We're tentatively scheduled for Monday afternoon, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's subject to change. This unit in turnaround time because they have a lab on board that they'll be processing those samples. The hospital is doing well. I am pleased to report that they have no one under ventilator right now and no one in ICU. So the Hendry Regional is doing a great job in managing that surge, and they've been a great partner as far as with testing as well. We right now have a few hundred test kits in our supply, and we're continuing to get a push from our labs, and that seems to be going well. And we've continued to push out a lot of supplies to our nursing homes, our hospitals, and other facilities that need it. We're at about 20,000 gloves, almost 20,000 or 21,000 masks, and it continues on from there. So we don't have what we wanted because we wanted at least a 30-day supply on hand, but right now I don't think anyone has that. But we certainly continue to work on supporting, procuring all of that. We had some good conversation with our physicians on some new strategies also to help with COVID based on the lessons learned from overseas as well as in New York. There's some new protocols in place with remdesivir, new medication that's out and approved for COVID, and they're seeing good success with that medication, and we are coordinating that through state logistics to all the hospitals, as well as there's some really new promising protocols for not putting people on ventilators if it's appropriate, and supporting them with alternate means of providing oxygen so that they have good oxygen saturation, but not the trauma of being put on a ventilator. And then we continue to push out guidance and document information on our younger COVID clients. There's some pediatric inflammatory complications that occur with COVID. That's a little bit different than what we've seen with like a flu-like illness per se. So we're working with that, and we think that those protocols will also help with better outcomes. And then one last bit of information I just wanted to share with you is some of the drivers as what we're dealing with for our community. Just adjacent to us in the 33430 area code, there's 358 cases, which is more than our entire county. And then for the 34142, which is down in the Immokalee area, there's 409 cases. So between those two areas that are fairly close to our communities, it's a significant challenge for us to make sure that our employers are actively monitoring their employees and where they live and where they travel to, and if they're being shared amongst facilities, to make sure that we're not bringing infection back and forth to each other. So that's another strategy we're focusing on fairly aggressively right now. But with that, I think I spoke too much, and I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Dr. Pepe. Does anyone have questions for Dr. Pepe? Thank you again, sir, for all you're doing for Hendry County. We appreciate you very much. If there's anything we can do to help you out, make sure you let us know, Dr. Pepe.
Likewise. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
You too. Ms. Davis, staff reports.
The last item is a EMPA-based grant agreement. The last item is the EMPA-based grant.
I make a motion to approve item 1, emergency management preparedness assistance grant, contract A0102.
A second.
Motion by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any further discussion on the board? Any public comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is that all you had? Okay, old business. Does anyone have any, we got an email earlier, did everybody have a chance to look at the
Yeah.
email we got as far as business we're working on?
Jennifer, could you add the plastic plan on that?
Cycle poly.
Yeah, could you add that on old business?
Yes, and just as an FYI, we do have a meeting tomorrow,
Conference call.
a conference call tomorrow with them, and so we'll have more information
Oh, okay.
soon.
What, are the curtains in at,
They're going to be installed at 9 o'clock in the morning.
how about them apples? We could check that off.
That's quick.
And then one other update from the email is the Four Corners contract. From the time I sent the email out, we did receive the contract, and I think everybody's just working on comments, so we have it.
Wonderful. Could that be, I don't know, even if it's just, if y'all are amenable to it, I'd like to have it just as a bullet point list in the agenda. I don't think it would add an entire full page. If they wanted to shrink the font
Well,
down,
she could just add it to the agenda.
I would love that.
For what specifically? I'm sorry.
The old business
Old
list.
business.
Oh, put it
I'll
in
just
the,
stick it
oh,
in
I
the
see.
book.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be great. And then I wanted to know the LaBelle West County Rec update, when we were going to get that from Ramiro.
Okay.
And then I would assume those,
We'll just give you a quick one.
if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hired a project manager, which he's here.
I can't hear.
I can't-
Mr. Harris,
I
I
can't
can't
hear.
hear you. We can't.
We hired a project manager, which is, he's here tonight, Rock. And so we took the burden off of Romero because he couldn't do it. And so the burden's on Rock to do it.
Well, can I just say something to that?
Yes, sir.
I find it very ironic that, that you hired a local engineer who has an extreme amount of background with our community. And if anybody says something bad, or negative towards the standpoint of Ramiro or the West Rec Board not having the capacity to handle this and having to go outside, I'm gonna chastise them. I'm gonna get yelled at for being somebody from Clueston that doesn't like LaBelle, I guess. But I think that's a great idea. I didn't know that y'all did that.
Yes, sir.
Even though I don't really care for Rock that much. That's a joke. Everybody knows me. I love that guy to death. But I think that's a great idea. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a hard written plan. It's going to give you someone that has a background with a myriad of projects and has the ability to bring something home.
He
So,
has background with the county.
yeah,
too.
yeah. So that's a great update.
We come to the conclusion that Romero cannot do it.
Well, and that's not a knock on Ramiro.
No, he just can't do it.
It's exactly right. It would be like us asking our staff that's already tasked out to 1,001 things to take on more things, and
Too much engineer,
it's not enough bandwidth so many times. So
too much engineer stuff.
the only thing I would add to that, Mr. Chair, is that Rock is also the engineer for the flagpole, which is on old business. So Rock's going to be working hand in glove with Randy Martin and yourself to give us a site plan detail. And so I think that we're going to be shocked at how well that comes together. And I know there's going to be an annual maintenance cost that is an unknown variable at this time, but I think that we're going to see a community that really rallies up to see this get done. So
Where's the funding coming
it's coming from a lot of different people, but none.
from? Much people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Any comments down here on any of that? You good? You do everything? Okay.
Wait, was that business by district?
No, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. I'm so
We're coming
confused for
there.
some
We were
reason.
talking about
Sorry.
old business still.
Okay.
Well, we're coming to the district, but I will start with you. How about that?
Oh, now we're
You're
at
up
business by
first, Mr.
district.
Swindle.
Got it. I'm ready to go back to regular meetings. I think that we can absolutely social distance at our facilities that we normally meet in. I'm all good with allowing public to continue calling in and doing that, but I just think we should do it at our regular facilities and regular times. Is everyone okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
One problem is we've got some ads that have run for some planning and zoning public hearings for LPA June 10th, BOCC June 16th, which is your next meeting, and advertised for John Boy, because that was what the understanding was.
Have to do it.
So the next one in Clewiston will need to be a John Boy because it's advertised as such unless we redo
Darn
all
it.
those ads.
But Mr. Chair, I thought that you could legally post and use technology to your advantage and not be held in a bad place or liable or.
Well, we can amend, we can do more advertising. It's just, when we run ads saying one place, we need to run another ad saying another place, you know, if
And-
you're changing it.
I'm okay with that unless it's just extremely cost prohibitive. And then go put a sign on the door that says, sorry, meeting is now at City Hall, you know?
Yeah, I thought that you
I
could
messed up
notice,
with the
I thought you could
wrong
notice electronically and then post.
Since the advertisements are paid by the applicants,
Oh,
I would suggest that the board approve paying for those new ads, and that could be close to $1,000, correct?
Oh,
if it's a G, you know, here I'm gonna sound real cheap and probably offensive people, but if it's a couple $100, I'm about spending it, but my threshold is $200. I don't know why I just pulled that out of thin air. So if it's a cost greater than $200, I'm ready to meet at the John Boy Auditorium. Does anybody else want to meet somewhere else or debate it?
Well, just let's leave it at the John Boy, and then the following meeting, be back in the chambers here.
Let's do it.
hey, what, the only caveat and follow-up to that is, are they charging us to meet at the John Boy?
I don't know.
No.
They're not? Okay.
So I'm sorry, I
No, it is what it is.
undersaid the amount is actually higher than 1,000.
Yeah, no,
for
let's
them.
definitely,
Leave them there, let them pay it.
the John Boy is
We'll
fine.
do this meeting in John Boy, the follow-up meeting will be at the board chambers here. 'Cause that's what I'm hearing, I believe.
Yeah,
So that would
July.
be your July meeting.
So the July meeting will be back in LaBelle in the board chambers.
Where does the July meeting fall
we
with
have
regards to the 4th?
I think
28th.
it's the fourth
Okay.
Tuesday.
So it's a long
Fourth
break.
Tuesday?
Okay.
Fourth Tuesday.
The fourth Tuesday.
July 28th.
We have a budget workshop prior to that meeting as well.
We do have
Anything else,
a,
Mr. Swindle?
we have a budget.
Got anything else?
I do. Well, thank you for asking. I'm getting some calls from some landowners in Banyan Village, and the number of campers, the number of partiers, the number of four-wheelers, the number of side-by-sides there have just gone out of control. I guess they're out of sight, out of mind. I reached out to Mark to see if we could just put gates up or lasers or whatever, and that was not, either one were acceptable.
Lasers? Did you say lasers?
Yeah, zap them, whatever.
We'll cut them in half?
But I believe the recommendation was to get with Mr. Parker that he could fix it. You may want to clarify your recommendation there.
Well,
Attorney Lapp.
I said the county controls the main roads and Port LaBelle CDD controls all the secondary roads throughout that development, so it's both agencies need to be engaged.
So can we do something to provide some relief? I don't know if it's how many houses are back there?
There's not houses yet, but there's a lot of different public owners.
I thought there was. I
No,
thought
there's-
there was.
Is there one now?
Yeah,
There's one house in the back, the southwest corner,
Banyan Village.
southeast corner.
It's not a gated community. I think that you're gonna have to fall on the sheriff's department, which he's not gonna like to hear that, but, I mean,
We can
they're
make
not
it a
camping
gated-
on the roads,
We can make it
brother.
a gated community if, I mean,
They never
just
close
gate
it.
it.
No,
You can't gate it.
you
Well,
can't.
I can
no.
gate it.
They never close it.
Well, you can put a barbed wire gap up
That's
there.
what I'm talking about.
After they pull on
But,
that thing a few
you know,
times.
all pulling aside, we do need to do something, and the complaints are valid, they are legitimate. I rode and looked myself, there's everything from cans, trash, you know, you name it out there. They sent me videos of pictures of the folks going through the retention areas, just having a great time, I'm sure, but nonetheless. we
Destroying
just-
public and private
Yeah,
property.
exactly.
But they're on county property?
Some of both, some on public, some on county, some private.
Well, that'd be Port LaBelle.
It's not much different than what they're doing in the Pioneer community.
That's true.
All
I
of
mean,
our
it's-
outlying areas,
Yeah,
Wheeler
all
Estates.
our outlying areas have become a playground for Miami-Dade Broward.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, we've been squeezed. And so, you know, the only thing that's going to help this, and this is very offensive to say once again, but I do it all the time, is if the economy collapses and people don't have access to their toys, then you're going to see a little bit of withdrawal. But right now, you know, everybody has one, and they can't do it in Miami-Dade, so they're coming up here. You know, if you really want to see something amazing, go, you know, just as you leave Florida City and Homestead, they've actually cut the fences down on the FDOT right-of-way as you're entering in on the CMEX. I mean, they're out there by the hundreds. Or just drive down Highway 27, and it's worse than what it was when I was a young kid. Remember when they used to all gather up there by Bergeron's as you were coming out? It's a madhouse down there.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is absolute madhouse. And so we're seeing a little bit of the tip of the iceberg, but I don't know how. I honestly don't know how, unless we want to call up somebody that has a helicopter and the sheriff wants to call in a favor. Other than that, I don't know what you're doing to do with
I
it.
think that surely we can be aggressive and somehow do something. And I think it's probably going to be a multi-pronged approach where we do something for a barrier to keep them out. We do something to stroke up tickets. I don't know, but surely we can put the
And,
people
you know, we're
together.
just coming over the holiday weekend. You can look at your calendar. 4th of July is going to be horrible. Labor Day is going to be horrible, and so on and so forth.
Right, but we
you know.
can't leave this, right? Ms. Embley, did you have something to add? Because we can't leave this without some sort of action plan where we can help the folks that have invested there because their places are just getting destroyed.
Well, in the past, and recently, we have worked with, or I'll say, the code enforcement has worked with the sheriff's department on these kinds of issues. Problem is that we can't be there all the time, and it happens that, you know, we run them off and then they come back. And it's just one of those situations that, because most of the property is private, and, you know, there's folks that could be squatting on property unless the property owner is complaining. You know, there's some things we can't do because of that. But you know, from the perspective of staff, I can't speak completely about the sheriff's department. I just know that we have limitations, and I don't have answers. I just know that we've been out there and we've, you know, rustled up some folks, get them off of those properties and to stop their activity then, but it comes right back.
Why can we not gate it? Explain that to me.
It's private, isn't it? Private property.
Well, it's a public road. I mean, these are public roads. I mean, it's not a private community. And so,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Swindle, are you asking about gating Lexington and Wellington?
Yeah, why can we not notify those landowners and say, we're going to put a gate up, we're not keeping you out, the purpose is not to keep the landowners out, give them access, whatever, but,
You have businesses on both sides of that as well.
yeah, and we're not trying to keep them out.
No, the gate's going to make it inconvenient for your semis and
That's
everything
right,
when
it
they're
may
out
be,
there.
it may be, I
understand,
I'm
yeah.
not pushing that we go gated, I'm just vetting it as an idea, I'm not trying to keep the people who need to be there out, that's not the purpose of the gate, it's to keep the people who don't need to be there out. If that doesn't work, if that's not legal, we can't do it, whatever, I get it, but we have to do something, surely we can't just allow
blind
folks
eye,
to come
right.
in and just destroy our property.
even if you could gate it legally, I mean, practically, let's just envision putting up a gate across, I mean, people go on shoulders and around it, so then you're extending this barricade for how long to
No,
avoid it?
it's not that big. You could gate that one pretty easy. You could gate those. You didn't have to put a very big barricade there.
Yeah, you'd have to.
But, and if you can't do a gate, I get it. I know that's extreme. But surely we can do something. Is it, I know that it takes manpower, and I know, you know, and it is a weekend and holiday thing. Is there something, would it be worth paying some overtime to a deputy and say, stroke them up, you know, they don't need to be there. We know the laws are clear about where you can be on a side-by-side or four-wheeler, and it's not there.
No, if they can't produce ownership, they're trespassing. It's pretty simple there as well.
And if
And not, if you go out there and look, just give yourself a little time, ride out and look. You're gonna see holes that you can bury trucks in when they've been playing with the four-wheelers.
Yeah, sure.
And some of that's on county property, on some of the right-of-ways, some of it's on
Private property.
CDD property, and the rest of it is on private property.
Right.
So they're destroying public and private property. There's got to be, legally, there's got to be something we can do. Maybe you can answer that question for us. But there's got to be something, whether it's sheriff's department, whether it's wildlife, no matter who it is, somebody's got to be able to get out there and don't say, hey, we're going to slap your hand. No, you're getting a fine. Everybody's here is getting a fine. And we got to do something, because if I own property out there, I would want to know I can come to a meeting and get representation by somebody to say, look, we're going to do something. I understand, Commissioner Swindle, exactly what you're saying.
And that's why I'm bringing it up, because those landowners have reached out to me as,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner of the district said, we got to have some help here. And then the firearms was a whole separate issue where they were just target practicing and shooting, and people were scared, and so anyway. All right, here we go. We'll fix it now.
Good solution. You mentioned it. Chief, could they do a paid detail, like weekend detail? Deputy go out, do what the commissioner said? Or could pay for a detail, paid detail?
Isn't that Bear and Water Management, most of it?
No, the
On the-
lands.
On the
lands-
roads, the side of roads.
No, sir, it's, there's 3 governmental entities out there: Barron Water Control District, Port LaBelle CDD, and Henry County.
And Henry County Schools.
And the school board, yes, sir.
Yeah.
There's 4 entities out there, but you could do a paid detail, and
But you don't do any mowing, do you?
Is there,
we do. Port LaBelle
CDD
does
and
mowing for
Bear and
us.
Water does the
Is
mowing.
it mostly just the weekends?
yes, weekends and holidays, like Commissioner Turner said.
Well, I mean, you have a handful of local people that ride out there on the
Yeah.
weekday, on the evening, they go out and check it out. It's no different than the people that live in Pioneer or Montura and Flaghole. If you go to Flaghole tonight, you're going to see golf courts going up and down the roads and going to Joey's Pizza, and no one gives a flip. You know what I mean? It's I don't want to say they turn a blind eye, but Henry County Sheriff's Department understands that's what people have come to expect in that community. They don't care. Pioneer's the same thing. But if you go out there on a Friday evening, it's a game changer. And now you see Miami-Dade coming in with their
Truckloads.
flatbed with 12 of the 4-wheelers or 4 or 5 side-by-sides and a toy hauler, and they already have their buggy on their property, and then they think they've gone to the middle of nowhere, and they may have a rifle up there, and they're having a really good time. It's just extremely illegal, and it is a bit dangerous. They weren't raised like we were in the Henry County Hunt area. They don't understand what being in the middle of nowhere absolutely is. They've never been to Big Cypress Preserve, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are extremely disrespectful to everybody else out there. And that's where the problem comes in. If they just rode like the people that are from here and abided by, some sort of civility, we wouldn't have this discussion. Commissioner, I'm not trying to be a naysayer. I have no idea how you fix this other than you come down hard and you're hard, you actually get prepared for those holiday weekends, and you say we're not going to allow for, an outfall of fun to occur. I know that sounds a bit draconian, but that's the only effort I think you can do. I don't think it's going to be a code enforcement issue. It's not an easy fix.
And I don't think, as I rode through there, I don't think I've seen any signage that said, thou shalt not, or, anything. Would that matter? Can you write it,
We can do signage like.
There used to be signs out there that said private property in the county. There used to be signs.
Yeah, there's
Again,
speed limit signs that says I can only
We're gonna
drive
pick 'em up and
60
throw 'em
going
in
to
the woods,
close, and I do
so-
80. They'll
but I
rip
don't
the signs
recall,
down.
and maybe there and I missed them, but I don't recall seeing a sign that said, no four-wheeler side-by-sides, this is private property or whatever. Can we write them a ticket anyway? Write them a ticket anyway?
If they're on the roadway, they can be cited. If they're on private property, we get a complaint from the property owner, they can be cited.
Yeah. Well, that becomes issue because there's one person that lives there. Most of these people live elsewhere.
Right.
But then now some are going and checking on their property and they're calling us saying there's piles of cans on my property and holes and stuff like that. And that's the calls I'm getting.
Right. There was signage out there. I'm not sure if it's still there now, but there were large signs that you all put out there saying no
Okay.
ATVs, no, give out the rules.
Okay.
But you remember every year, Unit 4,
Sir?
Unit 4 every year would bring up the carts and the 4-wheelers. Every year, don't matter what happened.
Yeah, it's it's almost every weekend they're out there, and it's not sustainable for us to continue to patrol
And if
it,
the deputy
with
sees them,
everything
takes
else we
off
have.
after them, they cut and go through all the houses.
Yeah, it's hard to catch them.
Well, but if you station a car with a deputy, you station him at the end of the road. Said truck pulls in with 4 or 5 side-by-sides and a camper. Yeah, if he can't produce ownership of Henry County, buddy, you're not allowed in here. There's a signage right there. Turn them around, send them out. The off-duty deputies, I know they do that because there's a facility by my house that can't be open unless a deputy sits at it all night.
Chairman, where,
Talking
So
about Turkey Run,
where at?
that's the one.
that's paid detail.
But it is, but that's paid by the owner, is that not correct? So what I'm saying here is, there's off-duty deputies that love that we could put that into, park them right there. They come there before daylight, before dark, and they stay till 1 or 2. They don't stay all night long, do they?
No, we're at Turkey Run?
Right.
Yeah, they stay there all night.
They stay all night?
Pretty much.
So you can do the same thing there. You position a car at each end of the road. When they pull in there, like I said vehicle pulls in. The lights come on, you pull them over. I need registration, license. Okay, Miami-Dade. Yeah, okay, do you own property here? Can you provide proof you own property here? Okay, well, then we're not allowing this no more. Then, Commissioner Swindle, you're starting to see a big dent. Because the car's not running around looking for them, he's sitting right there as they come in the door. So, that's my suggestion.
That would do it. I can get with the county administrator and work that out if you want.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
I'll tell you, I'm working down in Monroe County right now. What Monroe County is doing is, I think you could challenge it. I think it's illegal. Driving in on US 1, and they make every vehicle driving in produce a letter that is signed. I've been stopped. You get stopped every time. I've probably gone in a dozen times now. I've been told something different 10 out of 12 times. I've only been let through once without being checked one time out of the dozen. But either way, it's an obtrusive process. You have to give your ID, and then they ask you a series of questions, and then they say, okay, you can proceed. Now, I've seen them turn a number of people away as well. It may be illegal, but I'll tell you what, it's effective, And so until someone challenges it, they're towing the letter of the law. And they have like 37 cases, maybe 93. I don't know what it is, but they have a herd of humans that want to be there, and they're doing that. I think that we're dealing with an issue that's a little bit different than that, but it's going to take some action. So,
Got to start somewhere.
yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there anything else, sir?
That's all, thank you.
Ms. Byrd?
Yes, I just received a text. This is Mr. Parker. There's a gator, nice-sized gator out in Harlem, in the canal.
He only deals with tigers.
Tigers
I
on
didn't go there. Mr. Paul, the trapper, have been out there, and they're asking if they can put something in the drainage, so it can't move from one end to the other. He said he could see them hanging out when he came to trap them, and he just believed that it's mating season, but it's a big one.
Which canal is it in?
The one off of Mississippi and what's that, 10th and 10th?
The Harlem Collector Canal that goes to the mill?
But they've been on both ends. It's been on both ends, but
They're coming at the
he's
drain
walking the
pipes?
street like he lived there. So they asked that question just now. Somebody just sent a
I would encourage him to socially distance as well.
social distance. So I did ask that question. Secondly, yes, we do have our curtains. They'll be in tomorrow. So grateful. Thank you, Tracy, for everything. Just want to encourage everyone. They're telling us that they're opening up. I just say use wisdom. Just because they open up don't mean you have to go out, so just be careful. Went to visit someone, and they stay in the country, but if you rode by, it was just like numbers of people. We just got a social distance. It's just that simple for our own safety. So I just say use wisdom. I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
Good. Mr. Turner?
Good, boss.
Okay, I'll throw the stone at Mr. Parker. I see they're putting cans up, but I've heard there's going to be another delay on the lights. I figured that wasn't true, so.
It's going to be about a week delay.
Oh, is it only a week?
It's only a week, is what I'm being told. The the components for the signal boxes are still being delayed, I guess coming out of Southeast Asia, Mexico, wherever they're getting them from. 1 week delay is what the contractor said. Striping of the roadway is going to occur this week.
Oh,
The poles are in, the strain wires are up, the heads are up.
I saw the heads up on the 80 side.
They got signage up there warning
That's
you.
all the
that, so-
signage, and
so
nothing's been
it's-
done on the 29 side yet, but
Right, but it's slowly coming along. They're doing everything they do to move it forward. So,
well, it's a week's good. Actually, Mr. Parker, actually, when I was asking the question, I was told it was going to be another month.
no, it's going to probably be in mid-June when they open it. Because when the cabinets come in, it was supposed to be here the 25th, which would be, was it the day?
Today's the 26th.
26th, so it's a week. So next week, the cabinets come in. They've got to test them at the contractor's office to make sure all the components work. Then they're going to install them. They got to cut the loops in. Once all that gets done, then it'll open it up. So you're looking middle of June. FP&L is supposed to install their meter this week. They did the work, everything with the meter. EOC gave them the addresses they need for the signals, so, for the meter bills. That's it.
So mid-June,
That's what they're telling me.
2020.
2020.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Shane, before you go anywhere, I got hit up on Margarita Curve signs. They're gone.
Okay.
And then I didn't know if you responded to my email. Y'all may have had already. I asked about you sent an email saying the turn lane going into Pioneer or going into Whit Road would be expensive, had to go back, and then I sent back and said, do we know what that number is?
No, sir, we don't know a number. They'd have to design it.
Okay.
And they'd have to widen the bridge. You
Okay.
can do it as an ask for not legislative priority, but should be next year, I'll bring a list to you, like I typically do, of all priorities with DOT. You can add it to the priority list and we can petition it
I
that
think
way.
this is something that we really need to consider. What I'm talking about is a turn lane heading east on 80 into our property off of Whit Road.
Is it used that much?
It's not used that much, but I think that we need to start preparing now for it to be used in the future. I think that is I don't know what the savings would be if we just had a road and bridge department there alone where it was centrally located. I don't know. I've never looked at those numbers. I've never been asked to, never thought about it. But I just think we need to prepare for the future, and that's an ideal piece. What do we own? 80 acres or 180? What? How many?
80.
80 acres out there. And so I think we need to look at that. And I don't know if I don't know if they told you what the numbers are or if they gave you anything off the cuff, but I'd love
No,
to.
they gave no numbers.
Okay.
Just was required the widening of the bridge and
Okay.
retaining wall.
Well, that's something I think we ought to get an estimate for.
Don't leave yet.
And then budget discussion on different projects coming up. I know we have our capital improvement list. And then, I think you've given us a list of how much we've gotten into our line of credit and what we've done. But, I think that that's something I want to challenge us to get engaged in. When did you say our next budget discussion is going to be?
Before the July 28th meeting.
That's,
June 16th,
Oh, is it the June meeting?
June 16th.
Yeah, we usually
start
That's the next meeting.
so the next board meeting in Clueston, we're going to have a budget discussion prior to?
We've advertised it.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just think I think that we're potentially looking at a fiscal nightmare, and I think that we need to be prepared for that. The state of Florida's estimate came back for April, I think it was 880 million short, sales tax. So, we have some items that we're gonna have to address, and, we have to be prepared for them. Shane, there was something else that I'm forgetting, I just can't remember what it was. I didn't make my note, but, if it comes to me, I'll send it to you all electronically, so.
Okay, the last couple of things I have is, have you had the opportunity to look at the location for the post office in Wheeler Estates?
Yes, I found that we have a piece of land that's ideal on 16 Terrace. Margaret wanted me to kick around the idea that there's another piece that might be better for the situated, but right now there's one piece on 16 Terrace. Margaret was going to coordinate with Mark and look into it and get back. But that's the ideal, and then Road and Bridge would,
Mr. Chair, you're getting a
Build
post
it.
office somewhere?
Well, we're trying to get a temporary, this is one like we have in Pioneer out in Wheeler Estates.
Trying to get one like Pioneer?
Yes, sir. In Wheeler Estates, to get their mail, they either have to go to the Alva or they have to come to LaBelle. Their mail's not delivered out there. That's where we're trying to get a road, but I'm not going to go in there right now. But we got to get a road so we can get them home through Hendry County without having to go to Lee County. So all this is working on that, which,
Where do we have these outlying, where do we have those needs? And then where do we have outlying I don't know what that's
I
called.
think the only one we have, the post office wise, is Pioneer, isn't that correct?
Ladika has.
Ladika has one, but, so one of the biggest complaints I get is that if it rains in Ladika, their mail gets wet.
Montour has them too.
So if you're gonna
Montgomery,
build
yes, they
him
do.
one in
Right,
Wheeler
at the community center,
Estates,
you're right.
I'm gonna personally go down there and destroy it if it's better than the one that's built in Ladika. And if it has a roof over it, I'm gonna either set fire regardless if there's a burn ban or not. I'm gonna YouTube live it, Facebook live it, whatever it is, but I'm gonna be a complete anarchist.
Don't worry, I'll have his
The
truck
point I'm
color
making
and
is,
tag
I'd love to
number
get a
for you.
roof before he gets a mailbox. Because
Hey.
that's just wrong.
Did he get his horse riding signs yet?
I did.
He
Then
did.
don't complain about my mailbox, brother.
And the tractor signs.
You can ride your
Tractor
horse, I
sign.
just need to get these people their mail. No
Every
Pony
day I pass those tractor
Express.
signs, I think of Carson.
So, but we did, the last question is, the sign, the flashing sign on 14 O Road, have we moved forward on that at all, or
Not yet. We're still
So-
going through other RFQs that were higher priority, but it
do we
will
have
be
any
coming.
idea on that at all?
We'll probably issue one in about 2 months on it. We're just, right now, responding to all of DOT's requests for additional information on all the grants that, not grants, but the DOT priority lists for the transportation enhancements, the sidewalks. Right now, we're answering questions on the Forey Drive multi-use path, comments on Harlem sidewalks going along, I think it's 11th, that's east of the park, and County Road 835. And there's one other one I'm missing, but
That
we're answering.
sidewalk? That sidewalk? Somebody's gonna get runned over if we're not careful.
But right now, we're answering questions with DOT that's on the priority list, and
So
we're,
I mean, I get it now.
yeah.
Between Mr. Byrd, Mr. Harris, and Commissioner Turner,
There you go.
with their sidewalks, I can't
Back
have a
burner, Mr. Chair,
mailbox.
back burner.
I knew it.
No,
I'm gonna
it's
get a
not gonna go.
jackhammer, and I'm gonna go to these sidewalks, I'm gonna tear these jokers out.
Go to Quality Electric, we have it.
So
Back
we're
on combo.
realistically on the, so we're maybe a couple months on the sign, realistically.
No more than 2 months. We'll put
And
it, we'll
then,
put it,
what is the, actually, I went out and checked the light you put in Cowboy Way. That works nice.
yep.
The question I have there, can that head be, is it an adjustable head or is it
No,
stationary?
it stays flat. And they
It
angled
does?
it to the one that gave the best view.
Yeah, the only reason I was asking that, it just about covers the other side of the road almost, so.
It
If
stays
it
on
was
for you.
stationary and we couldn't do it, it was adjustable, I'd say raise it a bit, but
It stays on for quite a while, too.
it does. It actually stays on probably closer to 20, 25 minutes, it
Yeah.
seems like, so. All right, that's really all I had there. I appreciate it, Mr. Parker.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
That's all I have. so
what is the sign important to know? That's a flasher? What are you talking about?
It's for speed.
Speed limits, flashing speed limit signs. We were going to add them with a construction project with Lynch paving, but we wanted them off the road, and so we did not add it. And then we were going to do it as a change order.
Is this part of mobilization of traffic or in a contract, or they're gonna be there forever?
No, it's permanent signs that would flash. It would say the speed
It
limit.
gives you your
Is
speed.
it the ones that have the blue lights that scare you?
No,
Oh,
it'll give you the distance feedback. You've been on 31?
I have.
The ones
How do
right
we
there?
get those other ones? Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those things they wake you up. And Chief, I believe y'all have some on 835 now, on Hook, as you're entering into Hooker's Point. And those things, they wake you up. Whenever that blue light comes on, it's a reminder, Jack. You think you're
It only
done.
scare people that speeding.
So I speed everywhere. And it's not because I think I'm privileged. I just speed everywhere.
Anyway,
I run to the bathroom.
I only need a few more.
You only need a few more sidewalks? Thank God. I might get something done. I believe that's it. Is there any public comment before we close the meeting? Meeting adjourned.
Later, buddy.
Now I see why I can't get done.
That's it, man.
Hey, Commissioner Turner, I do need to talk to you a minute.